Well, hello, everybody. Welcome back. So, today we have three things to do and a very short time to do them. So, the first thing we're going to do is to talk about the key parts of an introduction. The second thing we're going to do is to write our introduction for our informative speech. And the third is to be recording our introduction. Okay, thanks, everybody. The first thing I want you to do is go to your informative writer's notebook, number 3. Welcome back, everybody. And so, if you remember, before the Thanksgiving break, we organized the information, and we have the two young people who are making a difference. We realized both had an event that triggered them into action. Both had this goal of equality for all, and both made a big difference in people's lives in need. So, today we're going to do a couple of things. We're going to talk about the different parts of an introduction, and we are going to create a working outline that we will use to then produce our introduction. So, first of all, you need an attention getter. And the attention getter, the goal is to spark people's interest in your speech. So, a lot of times people will use a statistic or a shocking fact. It's very similar to how you want to grab someone's attention in a narrative or really in any type of thing that you are doing. Getting their attention is great. So, for this, I did a little research and I came across this in the Charity Times. And it said teenagers are more likely to have participated in charitable activities than adults, according to new data from the National Citizen Service. And I thought that is incredible. I had no idea. And so that's going to then become my attention getter. So I'm going to go to here and I'm going to write it in. Did you know that according to the data from the National Citizen Service, teens are more likely to participate in charitable activities than adults? Okay, and then clean it up, get rid of all your typos and stuff. And this is going to be how I am going to grab people's attention. So that is my attention getter. And there are many ways to grab people's attention, but you want to come off sounding like an expert right off the bat. And incidentally, for this, I have actually added the citation because if you're going to grab a statistic, then you have to also cite it. So I put that citation in Google Classroom so that we can add it to our WeVideo media. Now, the next part of your introduction is going to be that relevance statement. Why should this audience care? You are presenting to an audience of your peers. They are teenagers. So you want them to care. And so you are going to say, as an almost teenager, this news is empowering. Or you could say exciting, or this news is fantastic. We're going to say an empowering. Kids like us can make a difference. It's a huge difference. Okay, and So you want your audience to care. That's called relevance. Why should they care? Now I've got your attention. This is why you need to care about this. And then here you want to be very clear. What are you talking about? What is your speech about? So you're going to just tell them this. There's no secrets here. You want to say, this speech will inform you about two teens, Chandra, Star, and Shubham Banerjee, who both made a big difference to people in need. Try and keep your thesis statement. You want to keep it clear. You want to find that like just right. You don't want it too long because that's going to confuse people. You don't want it too short or too vague because then your audience still doesn't know what you're talking about. So that is a real hard thing to come up with, your thesis statement. And you want to make sure when you're writing it that it is just right. So this is my just right thesis statement. I'm telling you exactly what I'm going to inform you about, who and what. And then the next thing you're doing is a little bit different from a thesis statement. This is called a preview. Now, the purpose here is to let your audience know what to expect and prepare them for the speech by previewing your main points. So here you're going to tell them exactly what you are going to discuss. And so you say, I will discuss. And remember, this speech is a similarities, it's a compare contrast speech. So we are discussing the similarities and differences between the two young people. And then you want to actually go to that next step where you say specifically. And I want you to actually use that word exactly because I want you to be very specific. Specifically, I will highlight the events. And remember, if you go back to our Venn diagram, we talked about the events that triggered them both into action and the differences they had for people in need. So I'm actually going to just copy that from our Venn diagram. And I'm going to go down here. And I'm going to paste without formatting. And I'm going to say specifically, I am going to highlight the events that triggered them into action. And you might clean this up a little bit. Triggered the teens into action. And the difference and the big difference and the different impacts. That's what I'm going to say. And the different impacts they had on society. Okay. So now I have gone through and I have an attention getter. I have a relevance statement. I have a thesis statement and I have a preview. Now, I am now ready to do that next step, which is to create the outline And then after the outline is created, I'm going to do my recording. Okay, so you're going to go to that next page. And what I want you to do is create an outline. And so how you do that, this is really basically you are copying and pasting the work that we did here. And so I'm going to actually title this, which I forgot to do, Informative Speech. And I'm going to put it in bold, and I'm going to make this large, and I'm going to center it. Usually you want to give your outline a name. Oh, sorry, these are very small. Okay. And so now I want you to put a Roman numeral 1, which is just a capital I, and write the word introduction. And then you're going to have A, B, C, D in your introduction. And this outline is going to be a full, complete outline. The reason for that is we are then going to use this outline to say our speech. So you will just simply copy and paste from the chart above. So you'll write in attention getter, and then you go to here and you put in the attention getter that we did. Then you go back and you do relevance statement, and you go up here and you do our relevance statement. And then you do thesis statement, and you go back here and you grab our thesis statement. And then lastly, you do preview, and you go up back here, and you're just going to copy and paste the preview. So now you have your outline, and you know exactly what you're going to do. And we're going to start recording. Now, you have a couple of options for recording. The first option is to go into WeVideo and record straight with WeVideo. You do that right here. Do you see where it says record? And you're going to do, so you have to be on media. The other option is to record your speech doing, oops, I didn't mean to do that. The other option is to record your speech using your phone and then send your media to WeVideo. So a couple of tips for this part. When you are recording your speech, you want to be aware of your background. Try and make it as plain as possible. You want to make sure that you talk slowly. You are recording, don't race through it. Make sure you memorize what you have to say so it doesn't look like you're reading, but you certainly can have what you are going to read in front of you. And you want to be looking at the camera. Remember, you are delivering a speech. So those are your tips. I am going to record, and then I'm going to put my recording in. So you're going to go into WeVideo, and you're going to open up your dashboard. And when you're in your dashboard, you're going to say video, and you're going to name it. Mine has a name. I'm just going to rename it later. You will put in a name. You'll put informative speech, and you're going to start editing. And then if you recall, we already saved all of our media last week. And so the first thing you're going to do is you're going to put on video line 1, informative speech, young people making a difference. Now, before we go on, I'm going to have you add a couple of video lines. So do you see this plus corner over here? You're going to go add video line, and I want you to add a track, and I want you to have, I want to say 4 tracks. Okay, and I'll show you why in a second. So the next thing you're going to do is you're going to put your recording on. So some of you will just record straight in WeVideo, and that's totally fine. So if that's the case, then you'll have your recording just because you recorded while you were doing it. Now, I want you to double click on it, and I want you to resize. That's called scaling. And you're going to scale it halfway down so that you're going to take up like a little, almost half of the screen. And then you say save changes. And now the next thing you're going to do is add a background. To do that, you're going to go to the word backgrounds. And while it's super tempting to get one of these exciting backgrounds, when you are delivering a speech and creating a speech, you don't want any distractions. The best background to pick is blue. That's going to keep people the most focused on your speech. I think there's like a slate gray you can use too that kind of looks like a blue. And you want to stretch it all the way to where you end the speech so that you're in the background the whole time. Now, that has to go on video line 1. Your speech will go on video line 2. Now, on video line 3 and 4, and actually, I'm sorry, you do have to add a video line 5. On video line 3 and 4, we're going to put Chandra Star and Shubham. So I'm going to go back to my media, and I'm going to find those two. And I want them to be right on top of each other. So I'm going to put both of those down on the video lines. And then I've got to, again, scale them. So I'm going to go to Chandra first. And I can see that she's there, even though Shubham's image is moving. And I'm going to move her over here. I'm going to save changes. Then I'm going to go to Shubham. And I'm going to make him smaller. And when I do, I'm going to start seeing everyone. So I'm going to move him over here. And then I can see that I have to go back and move Chandra's size, resize her as well, scale it down. And this takes time. I mean, just play around with it. What I'm looking for here is really that you have both images up and that they are next to each other. And again, you want to play around with this, put this right next to it. That's about perfect. The last thing that I want you to do here, and once you have it perfectly, you're going to put it the whole way to the end of the speech. Okay. And I don't know why she's not showing up anymore. Hold on. It's a little unusual. This might be getting tricky because I'm recording on a WeVideo recording. But sometimes it just doesn't work. So I'm going to have to take that out. I'm going to have to put it back in. And rescale her down. And move her over. And then I can see like I don't like where I'm positioned. So I'm going to move myself a little to the left. I want it to look exactly how it would look if you were watching a newscast. Now, the last thing I want you to do up here on video line 5 is I want you to do a rectangle so it looks like you have a movie screen. So in order to do that, you're going to go to that word text. And when you go to text, you're going to go to the word callouts. And when you go to callouts, I want you to grab that rectangle. Now, when you put this on the line, it's going to be a little bit tricky. Again, you're going to have to, I want you to pull it all the way through. And I can see that I need her to be pulled all the way through too. Just FYI, in this video, I called Chandra. I keep doing that. So try and get it right. It's like Chan Hassan. All right. And then I'm going to resize this, and I'm also going to change the color because I don't want blue on blue. I want it to stand out. So I'm going to double click on that line. I'm going to resize it and move it over. And so you can just pull on those dots as well to resize it. And then do you see how it says color? I want you to make it green. Actually, that's not bright enough green. Okay, and let's make it a little bit thicker. So you make it thicker by doing the stroke. Okay, and so that is actually perfect. And so now I'm just going to make sure everything's lined up, and I'm going to play it. And this should just be my introduction. Good afternoon. My name is Julie Reed, and this is my informative speech. Did you know that teenagers, according to the National Citizen Service, are more likely than adults to participate in charitable acts? As an almost teenager, this news is empowering. Kids like us can make a difference. This speech will inform you about two teens, Chandra Star and Shubham Banjare, who made a big difference in people's lives. I will discuss the similarities and differences between the two young people. Specifically, I will highlight the events that triggered each of them into action and discuss the different impacts they had on society. Okay, and so that's it. That's all we're doing for today. Now, just a couple of things. I had a scarf on because I was outside right before I recorded this. Make sure whatever you wear, you have access to it for the rest of the speech, because this speech, we want to look as if we are recording continuously, even though we're doing it in bits and pieces. So that's just kind of a note. I wish I hadn't worn my scarf, but I did. Oh well, I'll have to wear it throughout this speech. Also, make sure that background is one that's accessible multiple times. So, if you're recording it like Starbucks, then make sure the next time you record, you could go to the Starbucks. Well, I guess nobody's going to a Starbucks because they're closed, but bad example. Anyway, you know what I mean. Stick to a location you could use again. Stick to an outfit you can put on again. And that is it. Thanks so much, kids.